I'm pretty talk about loud. My name is Julian Odering, and I'm a fourth generation family business owner of this place. I started working when I was 7 years old, and during school, after school, and holidays, a week, 2 weeks during the holidays, worked after school 3 nights a week. And when I was 15, I started doing an engineering apprenticeship here, and then I went back into horticulture. And I've been in horticulture ever since. I'd like to introduce Zach, who's our apprentice.
Hello.
Once upon a time I had 7 of them, and we've only just got Zach at the moment until we get some other keen people along. Okay, let's get started. Strawberries. What a remarkable fruit they are, and they are a fruit, but they're often known as a false fruit because they have their seeds on the outsides of the fruit, and sometimes up to 200 seeds per fruit. And as a result, that's why you get them stuck in your teeth so much, because they're so annoying. They are actually native, they're related to roses, same as all blueberries, strawberries, brambles, and that so on. They're all related to roses. And of course, you know, they're tasty in jams, pies, desserts, and we even have them in salads as well, so they're really, really tasty. Health benefits, they're a good antioxidant, so they're good against, they fight against free radicals, good against preventing cancers. They're anti-inflammatory, so they're great for joints as you get older. So they also guard against high cholesterol, which means heart disease as well. Studies have shown that they can reduce the chance of strokes and diabetes, and also they promote white teeth. So that's great if you're in a desert island without a toothbrush and toothpaste soap. But that's what they're good for. The bad thing about it is you're much better to eat them 2 hours before food, but mostly we can't wait, can we, to eat strawberries. Nobody's ever died of eating strawberries or eating too many of them. You're more likely to die of eating more ice cream. So they're such a good plant, such a great plant to actually kind of a wonder food, really. You might also be interested to know there's no organic strawberry growers in New Zealand. All the strawberry growers use pesticides for insects, bugs, and everything like that. So it's a good chance when you grow your own to be pesticide and insecticide free. The types of strawberries that we grow were all developed in the University of California, and when they came over to New Zealand, they were quarantined because a lot of the strawberries are very susceptible to diseases that could damage our kiwi fruit industries here, such as PSA and a lot of other bad things that they can have on them. So they're actually grown out at Lincoln at berry fields. And Jeff Lanford is here today. Jeff Lanford? No, because I spoke to him on the phone. He gave me a lot of information about today's talk, which I want to share with you. But anyway, what they do is they take the runners off these, which are these stolons here. It's not very good, I know. And they grow those on and they sell them all around New Zealand. Then the growers grow them for a year or so. Then we take the runners and we plant them here. So most strawberries are good for 3 years before you need to replace them. Or alternatively, you can save your own runners as well. Okay, now, so basically the 2 types of main strawberries that there are. Alright. Can you read that? This is my horrible writing. You have to excuse me. I scribbled this down last night. But there's 2 sorts. There's short day, and those are ones like Camarosa, which is a bulletproof one, which we've been growing for years, and Petaluma. There are others such as Seascape, I think. I'm not sure, but there are others that we've grown before. But what they are is you plant them early to mid-winter. They flower, which now is great right through to October. They flower and fruit early spring, and they harvest from spring into summer, up to the 21st of December. Like they suggest, it's a short day, so it produces on short days. The thing is that so they are early season type. Once they finish their flowering around about the longest day, they won't flower again for that season until next winter, early spring. So Camarosa is the best short day one that we grow. It's got large 50mm fruits, which is 2 inches, excellent flavour, heavy yields, and they grow in the summer. Like around about the longest day, I think they cut out around about the 21st of December, which is the longest day. Petaluma is an old variety. It's got smaller fruits than Camarasa, but it's got very good disease resistance. But Petaluma was perfected in about the 1990s, so that is one that's going to be cut out very soon. But as you can see, with most of those ones like Petaluma, you see the flowers on them already. So they're going to be these ones here are going to be the early fruiting ones. Then the other ones that are grown are the main crop ones, such as daylight neutral, and they're also known as ever-bearing, such as Albion. And there's another one called Monterey. And I couldn't get any Monterey this year, but Albion is a very heavy cropper from late spring, fruiting all summer long till April. It's best suited to Canterbury conditions, hot summer. It's got very high tolerance to root rots and disease and mildews. Root rots are Phytophthora, Pythium, and so it's really good to, very tolerant against diseases such as mildews and anthrax. If you've ever picked up a strawberry before and it's pink and it's all more or less transparent, that's anthrax, which is a fungal disease which can get into them sometimes. But the thing with Albion is it can go to 30 centimetres high and spread to 50 centimetres. So it's an excellent performer. It's a very vigorous strawberry and it's really well recommended. It's the first year we've had Albion, so I haven't grown it myself yet, but I'm going to grow it this year. Because it's come with recommendations from Jeff Langford from Berryfields, very well, and so that's really highly recommended. Right. When you come to plant your strawberries, once you've decided what you want, whether you want a short day or a daylight neutral or ever-bearing, you grab your strawberries, and when you come to plant them, they always like to be planted in full sun, sheltered position. Even though they're woodland plants, they still like full sun. They dislike being constantly wet, so they love a well-drained soil. You water them in the morning generally. You try to avoid watering them at night because, again, even though they're disease resistant, you don't want to encourage diseases, especially early in the season. Also early in the season you can get deformed fruits sometimes, and that can be because of water or it can be because of being too cold. Sometimes we've had some really cold days of minus 3 to 4 degrees. That can sometimes distort the fruits. They like a pH of 5.8 to 6.2. I'll just show you this here. You see that right, Gina? Can everybody see that okay?
One moment. Just zooming in. Yeah.
Right. Because we have a neutral of 7. Veg is like a pH of about 6.8, but for most going into the acid-loving range, this is where they sit between 5.8 and 6.2 strawberries. And a lot of plants sit that way. Below that you come into your rhododendrons, camellias and so on that like more acid soil than that, but these are slightly acid. So when you're planting them, generally plant them without lime, because most soils are slightly acidic anyway. So if you're planting into soils, try not to use a compost, because all the composts that I know that are produced by us and other places have a very high pH, and a pH of around about 7. And the pH is really, really important if you've been to one of my talks before, because the pH gives a plant the ability to be able to absorb the nutrients that they need to be able to grow properly. So if a plant has got the incorrect pH, it can't absorb the nutrients that it needs to grow. So pH is very, very important that way. So when you come to plant your strawberries, there's all different ways of doing them. You can plant them in tubs like this. I actually found that around the place. And you can tie them to a wall if you wish. You can plant them in these things here, which are, it's not actually for that, but you can plant them when you plant them in the ground, you can plant them through here and the strawberries will fruit on here. So it's important when you plant a strawberry that the fruits are not sitting on the ground, because otherwise then you can get botrytis, which is a grey mould, which can tend to damage the fruits, and it makes it go all soft as well. But so if you're planting on your open veggie patch, plant that like that, and it will come up and it will fruit on top, so it will keep the fruits off the soil. So the better one to show you is, that's what they look like. So you put that on your veggie garden if you wish to, depending on how many plants you want, and it grows up and it fruits on top. Baskets are another good thing to do. I've planted one basket up here yesterday, but if you're doing one, just plant 3 plants in it, because those ones are the ever-growing ones, they're light neutral, 3 of those will easily fill that up quite nicely. Thanks, dear. Thanks, dear. When you're planting your strawberries, and I'm going to show you soon how you can do it, either, so this goes around. If you're planting your strawberries on a veggie patch, which is flat, it's a good idea to mound those up. Probably about 150 mils, because it keeps the strawberries out of the water zone. It might be down here. Sometimes you get heavy rain. But if you have your strawberries in a raised bed, that's my 3D drawing. Then you can have that bed flat, and then you just plant your strawberries straight into there. Okay? And when you're planting them, you want 30 centimetres spacing. Okay? And the same up here. And so we're going to go to that very, very shortly. Now, what to use when you're planting? As I said, you don't need lime, but generally because most of your soil is slightly acidic anyway. So when you come to plant, if you've got good soil, how many people have got good soil here, what you consider good fertile soil? You have? Because we don't know what's in our soil, do we, a lot of the time? And so as a result, unless we can get it tested quite easily, which is quite difficult sometimes, it pays to look at the plants that are growing there. If a plant generally is starving, these lower leaves will start to go quite yellow, which means you need more fertiliser. If you've got quite good fertile soil, the whole plant will be nice and green, generally as a rule of thumb. So if you've got very good soil, I would just use a top dressing like Tribond, which I'm going to discuss very soon. If you've got a very poor soil, I would use Total Replenish. Now, I've talked about Total Replenish before. Who knows about Total Replenish? Who's ever used it? Is that all? Gosh. Well, you see, Total Replenish is what we put in all our plants. This is what grows all our plants. And Total Replenish is a Nutricode, which is a controlled release fertiliser, which releases over about a year, and also a quick release fertiliser, well, it's actually called a slow release fertiliser called Tribond. And that's what makes Total Replenish. So if you've got a very poor soil, you're not sure on it, and because your strawberry is going to last for 3 years, you need to use a good fertiliser like Total Replenish, because Total Replenish will give it all the nutrients it needs for at least its growing season. Okay, now, see this person here? Who's that? Because when I was a young man of 26, I started growing my plants in Total Replenish. I just started into the nursery business. That's me, yeah. That's me, yes.
How old are you there?
About 26, 28. By that time, I already had my first 2 kids, and I was running the nursery. So the thing is that that's when we started into doing Total Replenish and Tribond. And Tribond back then, it was called Compo. And it's still called, it's actually made by Compo, which is a split away to BASF. Now, Tribond, I've used that since those times, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It's the best rapid replenish food you can get. You can plant it, you can sprinkle it on the soil about a handful per square metre, dig it in, and it will just keep on producing beautiful plants for you. So if you haven't got much, if you've got pretty well fertilised soil, you can use that. You can also use that for sprinkling on any of these plants in here that are looking a bit starved, and you water it in, and it stays on the soil, and it will, so long as it's off the plants, it will just keep on feeding for about 4 months. Absolutely recommend by me, and I've been trying to get it in here for years, and they've finally done it, and we've got $2 off a sachet now. So go into retail, please, and say that I sent you. That'd be great. But that is really recommended by me because it's a very, very good product. It's got nitrogen of 16, and nitrogen produces lush green growth. It's got phosphorus of 3.5, which is great for root development, and its potash value is 10, which is excellent for bud initiation, fruiting, and so on. It also has trace elements in it, which is a complete food, which actually the trace elements, I'll tell you, help the uptake of the other nutrients through the plant. So it's exceptionally good for everything like that. We even use it for top dressing our trees and shrubs. We sprinkle over the top of the shrubs and water in it, and that way we don't have to liquid feed with anything like these types of things. So highly recommended by me, so please get some today. You can use it on everything from citrus, shrubs, trees, bedding plants, veggies, cut flowers, everything.
Strawberries? Strawberries?
Absolutely you can.
So,
That's why I'm mentioning it here.
Roses.
Roses, yes, yes,
Blueberries.
yes, yeah.
Is it toxic if they get heat ingested in it?
No. Do you want me to eat some to show you?
you sprout.
I have done that before, but I only did it once.
Julie, when would you apply?
When would you plant from spring? From strawberries. I would actually use, if you've got quite fertile soil, I'll be putting them right now. I'm doing it. In fact, when we do that, I'll do it. But if you've got quite unfertile soil, like if you haven't grown anything in there for a while, I'd use Total Replenish. And I should have one here to show you, but I haven't. But Total Replenish is exceptionally good for long-term fertilisation.
Can you use both?
I wouldn't. I'd use one or the other. But later on in the season, you use that Tribon there for top dressing if you wish to, if they start starving.
I'm going to ask how often do you use the Tribon? Every couple of months or?
Oh, every 3-4 months, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, but it's good for everything in your garden. Sorry, I can't go on a bit of a spiel there because it's such a good product, and I've been trying for years to get it in here. So there's $2 off on that, so that's really good. We're up to here, so yeah, basically it's important to keep your strawberries out of the water zone in a raised bed or on this. There's two things you can use on top. You can use this pea straw stuff. Who uses that before? You had good results with it? Okay, because I haven't used pea straw before. When I do mine, I use weed matting. And there's two sorts of weed matting you get. You get this one here, which is a nylon type weed matting. And there's another one which is like a fibre type of weed matting. Is there a roll here? What's that? But I've only used this one here before because I always thought when you use organic things like straws, you tend to get a breakdown of botrytis breaking that down, and strawberries might tend to get a bit diseased. But I'm not familiar with that. But I have had good results with weed matting, so that's what I'll stick with. But we'll talk about that anyway. Because the thing with the straw is that apparently as it breaks down, it adds nitrogen to the soil, which it would do. It's quite, once it's wet, it sticks to the ground quite well. It does have the odd seed in there, like barley seed, which you have to watch out for, I think, and same with pea straw if you're planting that. But the only problem that I see with it is that it would tend to get botrytis, which is the grey mould that often affects some dead and dying plant organic matter, and it could affect the strawberries, but I'm not familiar with that too much. Right, so...
What about pine needles?
Pine needles, not familiar with pine needles, but I know pine needles can be... I know people have used pine needles quite successfully, but pine needles generally by themselves can be a bit toxic because of the tanninism in the sap. But I'm not sure how they go on strawberries. Has anybody had tried pine needles before? Yeah? Bark?
Yes.
You could use bark, but again, bark being an organic product, it tends to attract fungal spores, because bark tends to break down. As it breaks down, it attracts fungal spores which can cause disease to the fruit. So I use bark on plants that are above the soil, but when the fruits are sitting on the soil, that's when you tend to have problems with it, with organic materials, generally. They're growing quite quickly. But as I said before, if you're going to grow them in a flat veggie garden, you're best to fertilise your soil, which I'm going to show you first. Then after that, we raise them up. or I'll turn it on a raised bed. I'll show you how to do it on this one here. I'm going to pretend that this is this is just garden soil. It's mostly soil, not soilless media, and it needs fertilising. So what you do is, if you use a try one, use a good handful, about 1 handful per square metre. If you've got very good soil, the soil has been well fertilised, but you need to get another season out of it, use Tribon about the same rate. But Tribon, it looks like this stuff here. See that? It's quite small and it's very easily spread around. You can even use it on your lawn if you want to, but it's a bit too expensive for that. But use one or the other. I'll just show you how you do it. About the same sort of spaces that you use. Then use a fork, which is still here, which is amazing. And you dig it right down and turn it over like so, because you really want that fertiliser to go into the ground. Because as I said before, nitrogen will generally tend to want to leach to the air, because what we breathe in is 70% nitrogen and 30% oxygen. So it's much better to incorporate it in the soil if you possibly can. But Tribon is actually okay sitting on top as well in water. So that's what you do if you're doing a garden on the flat raised bed. Spread it out. This is beautiful soil too. It's been here for all our workshops, so it's pretty well fertilised by now. So no wonder it grows good strawberries. And what I would do in the case of this, I'll just use this as an example. This is weed matting, which I put some holes in last week. I'm not going to redo it again. But weed matting, when it's flat, is really quite good because you can stagger the holes when you plant. So basically, you can have it as wide as you can. I'm not sure what size it comes in. It's about 1 metre wide or something, I think. But you can cut it to the length you want to put in what you need. And I just tuck it in like that. And you can hold it by putting staples in there. And so long as you don't spare your hands, put one in there, pull it tight. We do actually sell those, but otherwise bits of wire will do it as well. And is that all it is? So basically, once you've got that right, you're ready to plant. When I do cut these, I cut them so they've got enough room for the plant to sit in. And also, if I wanted to put like something like that in there for watering, because it could be a bit of a problem, you use this. These here are often just thrown out or just wasted. It's a good idea to use that to help you with the watering tool, because they will help with the watering and so on. You'd have to just put them every so often, but put them up there. No, stop. Once again, squeeze that, pull them out. Try and keep the plants as much intact as possibly can. You want to plant them to that height there, not up to there. So you make your hole, put it in, so it's just quite proud, and then you firm it in. So that's the height of it. Can everybody see that okay? Do it. I'll do one more. No, I won't. Oh, yes, I will. There's one here. If it's too tight, make it the hole a wee bit bigger, because you want that hole quite big if you can. So you can get that through. We sell these here in retail, or you can just use whatever you want. But basically, you put these out here. So, and it's just a platform to put bird netting on. To stop those birds from decimating your strawberries. I'll use that for this because it's quite easy to do. And this bird netting here is very, very cheap. So, the width you want or the length you want, and it spreads incredibly long way. So basically you get it spread out over your crop. But it's really important when you're trying to keep birds off, if you do have a problem with birds, to have it so as the birds are not, or the netting is not going to be sitting on the crop at all. It's got to be well off the crop, otherwise the birds can peck through it and get to it quite easy enough. And sometimes just anchor it down on the end here, but that sort of thing there, that's the sort of spacing you want. If you need to, you can spread it out a wee bit more, depending on how far your strawberries come out. But that there, you can use that. That would probably one of those would be enough to do at least 2 of those if you spread them out enough. And make it, don't do it so you staple it down or anything, because you need to be able to pull it out quite easily to get to your strawberries. And birds are so cunning they can actually get underneath it if you're not careful too. So you need to maybe tuck it under a wee bit to stop the birds from getting into them.
If I've already planted some strawberries but I want to go back and put the weed matting on, is it okay to uplift those strawberries now and put weed matting back and put them back in?
Yes, well how long had you planted them for?
A couple of weeks.
I should be okay. They wouldn't have probably that much growth in a couple of weeks. But when you do dig them up,
Yeah.
just be careful, like, show you on this. Just make sure when you do, if you do want to do that, dig them up nice and carefully like that, because those roots, try not to damage any of the roots that are there, and they should come up quite easily. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good. Yes, you can do it if it's just been a couple of weeks. Not a problem.
Longer than 2 weeks, should you not lift them?
No, you still can.
Yeah.
This time of year you can. The most secret thing, the most important thing is to keep those roots from being ripped apart too much when you pull them out. Because if you damage the roots, they go into shock, a bit like us when we hear our arms and legs ripped off.
Some people say you should lift them every year, is that not right, or?
No, I probably wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you use Tribon, that's all you're going to need the following year. And just put that around that and get them growing again. You don't need to lift them every year. They should be good for 3 years.
So you don't use that strawberry food you sell every month as well, or?
Oh, you can do. Yes, I've actually got it here. And somebody said you're not supposed to use it in pots. It's quite strong, but again, it's a quick feed. So if you feed properly like that, you shouldn't need to put that on all the time. But you just look at your plants, and if they're looking, the bottom leaves are starting to go yellow, that's when you know you need to top dress. Because when you disturb them after a year or whatever, you can if you want, if you have to move them. But if you do that, it's best to do that in the autumn when they've gone a bit dormant, because they'll be wanting to grow now again. So if you do move them, do them in the autumn. But generally, when I put them like that, I leave them there for the length that they're there, and I just top dress with the Tribon.
So after 3 or 4 years, what do you do with your strawberry plants? So assuming you've then got runners and everything to replace them, what do you do? Do you biff them and they
Yes.
gone? And
Yeah.
it's just like,
They do have a life after a period of time.
yeah.
The first year you probably won't get so many fruits, but the second year will be very heavy fruits, and the third year quite heavy fruits. Then they'll start to wane after that. So when they start, after they finish fruiting, usually they start sending out the runners, and that's the time to pick them and then plant them. If you take the runners around about March, April, May, somewhere around there, they will be quite good. But try in the meantime, cut those runners off, because those runners are stopping that plant from producing strawberries.
Right.
So you really want as many strawberries as you can. So if they start producing runners, or the stolons,
Yeah.
which is those things, which you're familiar with, it's not a very good stolon.
What's the difference between the runner and the stone?
These are runners. The difference between a stolon and a rhizome, for argument's sake, a stolon goes across the top of the soil, whereas a rhizome is underneath the soil, and that's how they produce their clones. So these are generally above the top of the soil, and if you leave it long enough, you'll see the roots starting to come out of there as well. So you can just cut those stems off later on and just plant those in the soil. Legionnaire's disease. Legionnaire's disease generally is a bacteria which affects people with compromised immune systems, and it is generally comes about by potting mixes being left too long closed up. And even though, because we're a nursery, we get our soil in, we use it within about a month, and there's no problem. The biggest problem happens is when the home gardener buys it, they take it home and they don't use it all at once. They use half of it or whatever, and they close it up and put it in the shed, and then they leave it for 6 months or whatever. And what happens with all potting mixes, because they're breaking down all the time, they take energy to break down, and that's when you get warmth and you get bacterial diseases that love those sort of conditions, and that's when they start to grow. So if you are taking mixes home, try and use them all at the same time. That's the reason why we have a 10 litre, a 25 litre, a 30 litre. And if you don't use it all, use it on something else to use it up, because generally all potting mixes have controlled release fertiliser in them, and no matter what you're doing, they're releasing all the time anyway. So you're losing the effectiveness of that food in that potting mix if you leave it in your garage. So I don't know of any plants that won't benefit by either veggie gardens or house plants or anything having a bit of a top up of any soil you've got left over. So try and use all your soil up all at the same time. If you don't, and you leave it for about 3 months, anything over 3 months, you should wear a mask if you're opening that soil. And the reason why we put all our dates on our potting mixes is because we keep our soil within that time frame, well within that time frame. And all the retailers know about that as well. So, but we do that because we want to be seen that we're being proactive with everything, to stop people from getting sick. I've been working with soils my whole life. I've never had it, and that's probably because we use it all the time. We use it up totally. The other thing you have to watch out for too, it can be in farms, it can be from dusty pathways. If you breathe it in, a very, very fine dust. So you just have to watch out for that too. Okay, so as your plants grow, does that cover Legionnaires?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Gina's in charge, she just keeps putting things at me all the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to plant one of these. So you can plant in baskets, tubs, pots. You can even plant like this. So you want to make, it's so easy to cut this stuff. One. You get 6 strawberries in here quite nicely. The important thing is, keep them about 30 centimetre spacings. Okay. Now we're going to start planting these. Actually, I need another pack. This is, what's this plant called? I did say before. Tamarosa. Well done with this thing. So we start on, make a hole like this, incision, and plant in there. And remember that depth, we want just that depth there. If anything, keep the crowns a wee bit proud than not proud. And so put them in there and tuck them in nice and tight. Don't have them so they're just loosely sitting there. Actually, I just made a marker for this one. So if you do it, just squeeze them out like that, and if you need to, dig them out. This one here, I've made a bit of a mess, but the roots are all nice and white and they're quite long, so it'll be okay. Put in there like so. Don't have it sitting out like that so the roots are exposed, because those roots will dry off and damage quite quickly. So just make sure the roots are all properly tucked away nicely in there. It's like tucking your baby to bed. And I've had a few. My wife and I had 6 kids, actually, strangely enough. So I was production manager here for a while. So, she'd hate me saying that. So I'm so corny. And again, make a hole like that, place them like that. We're going to give this away to some lucky person who wins a draw. As close to the bottom as you possibly can. This probably get a big lump now. And at least 3. This is real one. 3 there, 2 on the ends. As close down to the bottom as you can. That was going to be your question, but well, it is a workshop. A workshop is when we all ask questions and things. So, but put it down as close as you possibly can to the bottom of the bag. Like so. You don't want to cut it right the way through, so as soon as you lift it up, all the bottom's going to fall out of it as well. Okay, so.
Excuse me, do you put your tri-bomb in there as well?
No, that's not all you need in the meantime. Use your tri-bomb a bit later on if they start to starve, or your Wally's secret to strawberry food, okay? And we're going to talk about that in a second, because we're going to talk about pests and diseases.
Just before you talk about them, you read a lot about putting seaweed mix in when you transplant plants. Is that a fallacy? Or is that
No, it's true. It's true. When I spoke to Jeff Langford, he said the best thing to use is phosphoric acid. And phosphoric acid boosts the immunity of your plant, so it protects your plant from other diseases, but that is the next best thing. Because what it has trace elements and other things which boost the type to the plant, and it helps with that. Did I bring that along? No, I didn't. Because yes, we do sell it. It's a seaweed-based fertiliser, and it's got all the trace elements that you need, and it also is a good tonic to start off, especially if you're transplanting and you're damaging the roots a wee bit, because it gives it a good chance to get over that.
Sorry, what was that, David? What was that again?
It's the seaweed-based fertiliser.
Oh, the phosphorus.
Oh, phosphoric acid. We don't sell it, and I know we should because we use it extensively in the nursery. But it's phosphoric acid. He talks about it quite a lot. So as your plants are growing, you have to watch out for a few bugs. And the main bugs you have to watch out for is thrup. Are you familiar with thrup? If you look around people's gardens, you see rhododendrons, viburnums, a lot of plants that have had all the pigmentation taken out of the leaves. So the best thing for that is this stuff here. Is Wally's, I don't know why he calls it secret tomato strawberry food, because it's exactly the same as the tomato food, except it's got rock salt in it, which is elements for that strawberries like. But it's the same sort of pH, and the pH is around about 16.310, I think it is, which is good for feeding. But the most important thing with using that is your neem granules will stop aphids, whitefly, psyllids, will have an effect against mite as well. And it's a natural thing that comes from the neem tree. And so we use it on tomatoes in the garden centre because you don't want to be using deadly poisons on these as they're growing.
What is that?
It's called Wally's Secret Strawberry Food, which is exactly the same as Wally's Secret Tomato Food. Which is
organic.
So it's not a secret anymore.
no, it's not a secret. No. Sorry.
So it's all organic, not pesticide.
Yes, it's all organic based. Yeah.
So how much of that do you put around and how often do you do that?
I put a teaspoon around. I do it probably from the summertime, from around about December, every sort of 6 weeks. For about, while the bugs, those sort of psyllids and horrible things are around. Okay, we out of time, are we? Got 10 minutes left. Oh, that's good. Good. Well, get through it quite nicely. As your plants grow, these fruits will take about 3 to 5 weeks to fruit up. And when you pick them, you probably can't see this very well. You pull the strawberry gently towards you and you twist it. And they come off like that. And don't throw them in the bucket. You put them in, treat them nice and gently. If they go soft, the fruits ever go soft on you, put them in ice water for about 20 minutes and they'll harden up again. And anything else to add there, Zach?
Plant early and use microclimates and stuff now to get foliage growth, so when you get into spring, you're just starting to flower. You can go now, you can go early.
And it's not affected by frost if you plant early.
Yes, they can be. The fruits can be affected by frost. So if you are, as Zach said, you could use some microclimate in the meantime just to keep the fruits out of the worst of the frost. Because as you see, these ones are just starting to fruit up already. And they are pretty tough though. Once they're acclimatised, they should be okay. These ones here have come out of the glass house probably about 2 weeks ago, I suppose. They're sitting out in the shade house now, but they are toughing out. But put microclimate, if you have a really cold snap, use some microclimate in the meantime just to protect them.
What is microclimate?
Is
Is it a frost cloth?
it's a frost cloth.
Oh, frost cloth, okay.
Yeah, microclimate is really good because it's good above the crop and it creates a climate underneath. Or you can use frost cloth, which goes on top of the crop, which is like a Lutrasil, like a fabric,
Yeah.
which you can use. Yeah. Right. Oh, sorry.
Do you pick off the little, the early flowers when you first plant them?
Generally, I'll look and see if they're deformed, if they're okay. If they look like they're really badly deformed, especially the early ones that might have come through a really hard frost and gone quite funny. Yes, you could, but largely leave them
You
on.
don't do it to encourage root growth?
No. No, the only thing you do to encourage root growth is cut off the stolons, any stolons that might come on. Because what you want is that mother plant put as many flowers as you possibly can. Yeah. Okay.
And after 3 years when you replant, replace your soil as well?
I'd replace it certainly down that far anyway. Just take off all that, well, at least that far, and replenish it with good soil. Yeah. So they're a really remarkable crop in as far as you can plant them like that. You can plant them on fences, baskets, window boxes, raised beds, anywhere. Just remember the main things with those. You're going to be successful so long as you give them full sun, well-drained soil, keep them out of the water, and look after them like I've said.
And so just cut off the runners,
Cut off the runners, yes.
and then you can just plant those runners, like,
No, because your runners, they'll be starting to come away, they look quite small, so you want to cut them when they're small. When you're trying to fruit up your strawberry, you cut those runners off before they get too far, because that's sucking the goodness out of the plant.
yeah,
So you cut those off. But at the end of the season, once they're finished flowering,
yeah,
if you want to then grow on for next season,
yeah.
then you let them grow on once they're finished flowering, and then you can take those if you wish to.
And you have to try and take some sort of root with it, or what is it?
Yeah, well basically as it grows, that will touch the ground. And where that touches the ground, you'll see the root, or where it will try and find moisture, that's where the root will start growing. But the best thing to do is come back and buy them from us. Don't give away too many of my secrets.
Some people say you just pin them, is that right? You pin those?
You can, yes, you can.
And you just leave them to grow where they are for a little while, and then you take them out and put them
You
somewhere.
can if you wish, but as soon as they've got those roots coming out, you can take them, cut them, and reroot them, and they'll grow. Okay.
Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you guys learned a lot as much as I did. I cannot believe that's him. That is insane. What a handsome guy.